After being delayed by natural disasters leaving Kathmandu, we finally board a flight to Lukla, often called the world's most dangerous airport. This is where our documentary-style journey begins, a 2-week round-trip trek on foot to Everest Base Camp, into the heart of the Himalayas.
We pass through charming Himalayan villages framed by towering peaks, crossing jaw-dropping suspension bridges as the trail pulls us deeper into the mountains. Reaching the lively hub of Namche Bazaar, we hike to the famous Everest Viewpoint, a sweeping panorama that becomes our backdrop for the days ahead.
Continuing up the Khumbu Valley, we visit the iconic monastery at Tengboche and begin to understand the deep cultural history woven into this landscape. This first chapter of our 2-part journey ends in Dingboche, where the Everest Base Camp and 3 passes trek split. Join us on our journey as we trek to the base of the world's highest mountain.
Our journey continues as we depart Bhutan after a week exploring this hidden kingdom and hiking to the legendary Tiger's Nest Monastery. From the air, the Himalayas stretch endlessly below us, and we even catch a glimpse of Everest itself rising above the surrounding peaks.
Alright, back in Kathmandu, we've got all our gear. We're all geared up, ready for the trek. Alright, so this is the mixed tukka, which is a Nepalese soup with some noodles and egg, chicken, pork. I'm gonna give this a try. Brenda's got a pizza. No momos.
So I'll have to wait.
Next time. And we got some music in the background here too. Less than a week prior, heavy rains and flooding triggered a natural disaster, causing landslides that damaged the main highway from Kathmandu to Manthali. What is usually a straightforward drive quickly turns into a far more adventurous and unpredictable journey. Your first Dalbat experience.
It's delicious.
So next thing she's gonna do is move on to the hands. Right hands, that's the right hand. Am I doing it the right way now? Yeah. So you're gonna mix everything in.
At one point, we are forced to wait for over an hour as locals work to clear the road, making it just safe enough for vehicles to pass. It is a small reminder of how fragile access to the mountains can be.
So it's 5:30 a.m. in the town of Manthali. The original plan was yesterday we were going to fly out of Ramachap Airport and go straight to Lukla. Because of the landslides that happened last week, actually it was a national disaster. It was so bad, hundreds of people lost their lives. It was, they say, some of the worst flooding and landslides they'd had in about 50 years. So because of all that happened last week, the main highway was closed and we had to take a massive detour up through the mountains, which probably wasn't much better when it came to actual destruction of the road. The journey is supposed to take 4 hours, took about 9.5 hours to get out here. So we actually got stuck on one section of the road for about an hour and a half while they were trying to get cars through. It was bogged and the landslides were just really, really bad. So we spent last night here in Manthali, and this morning we are hopefully going to fly out to Lukla. There's been a little bit of a pile-up. We've spoken to a few people last night that have been waiting here a few days, and apparently some other people have been waiting longer to get the flights out, but the weather's supposed to be clear today, which means the flights should be going. So with luck, we'll be flying out to Lukla and we'll start the first start of our journey. Only 1 day delayed. We'll see. You're your own Sherpa today.
Yeah.
Beautiful out there. You ready?
Ready.
But are they ready for us? That's the thing. This is what 3 days worth of backed up flights looks like. And Miranda there chilling. It's kind of first come, first serve. Everyone's leaning over the counter.
So we arrived at the airport at 6:30. It is now 12:30. Miranda's having her lunch. There's been a delay because the clouds have come over Lukla Airport, and because it's the most dangerous airport in the world, not one of.
I think it's the most dangerous, but I'm not sure. It could be one.
Maybe one of, but could be the most dangerous airport in the world. They need to have completely clear skies, so let's see what happens. Okay, so we've just been notified that our flight has been cancelled. There were 2 planes down, and the flight before ours was the last flight out. Ours was actually supposed to be the last flight out, so we're down 2 days on our 16-day 3 passes trek. So it's putting a little pressure on our itinerary now. Ready for this to shake?
And just like that, we are airborne, watching the scars of the flooding fade beneath our small vessel as it carries us from the foothills above the clouds and into the heart of the world's highest mountain range, the Himalaya.
Finally! How was that flight, Miranda?
Oh, it was stunning.
Yeah.
Each had a window on each side.
Yeah, so we get to see the Himalayas on both sides. We're at the Tenzing Hillary Airport in Lukla. Finally made it. We survived the world's most dangerous runway. Let's start our trek. After 2 days of delays, we are finally starting our trek. This is Suvi, our guide. And this is our porter over here. Namaste. Finally starting our journey after 2 days of delay. We are on the road to our 3 passes trek. Traditionally it's done as a 16-day trek, but we've now got 14 days, so hopefully the weather holds out and hopefully there's no delays along the way. Today is the easiest day of the trek, so it is 10 kilometers. We're actually heading down to a little village called Phakding and about 200 meters decline actually, so today's really an adjusting to altitude day. This is a really charming little town. What do you think, Miranda?
It is, it's adorable.
It's beautiful. Okay, the official start of the trail here, the Pasang Lamu Gate. That is the first lady to summit Everest back in 1991. Now we're actually starting, the town was so cute though. The dogs were adorable, the children, really, really cute. It was a really nice vibe. I think we're really going to enjoy some of these mountain communities. All right, Miranda, why don't you show us what we're doing today?
So today, we're starting here in Lukla.
2,840 meters?
That's right.
Yep.
And we're hiking down to Phakding. 2,610 meters where we're sleeping tonight.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we are heading all the way to Namche Bazaar, where we'll stay 2 nights. The first night and second night for acclimatization.
And we're going to do that little loop at the top, right?
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to do all that.
That little loop there. Namche is at 3,440, so it's quite a steep climb from Monjo to Namche. So that's the steep part right up there.
Of course, Shane has to stop to pet the puppy. He deserves it.
Alright, you want to get in my backpack?
Let's go.
The people that live up here in these villages would have most likely migrated here in the 1950s during the expulsion from Tibet. So when the Chinese came into Tibet, a lot of the Tibetans moved out into the high mountains surrounding Nepal. In fact, our guide was saying that 1 lakh or 100,000 immigrants came here in the 1950s from Tibet.
1960, Nepal is just population 5 million.
So 5 million, and nowadays the population is
30 million.
50 million. Yeah, wow, so 10 times the population. in 70 years. These areas are mainly grown due to tourism. So up around here, these small villages, the funding from the tourism has brought a lot of economy into the areas. Otherwise, it'd be quite difficult to live up here. And historically, the weather was much cooler, so you wouldn't have been able to grow crops at these heights. These days, they can grow some staple foods in some of these lower villages that we've been through, like potatoes and cabbages and onions, things like that. Traditionally, these trails would have been used to cross into Tibet. So that was when there was a salt trade between India and Tibet, trading tea for salt, things like that. So these smaller settlements, it didn't quite exist back then.
This region has been home to the Sherpa people for around 500 years, following their migration from Tibet into the high Himalayan valleys. Over centuries, they built a resilient mountain culture shaped by Buddhism, trade across high passes, and survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth.
The Everest Base Camp trek began to take form after the first successful summit of Everest in 1953, when global attention turned to the Khumbu Valley. As trails, lodges and guiding knowledge developed, the route became one of the world's most iconic multi-day treks, defined by both adventure and Sherpa hospitality.
Okay, so we have arrived in Phakding. It's only just after 11 a.m. We started at around just before 8 a.m. actually, so less than 3.5 hours to hike here. Very, very easy day. The reason why we're taking it slow to begin with is because the start of the trail, you really want to adjust to the altitude. So even though we're not very high at altitude right now, we will be going up. So each day it's really about adjusting. The other thing I want to mention is these adorable dogs.
So sweet. He was trying to like get your
nudge me. Yeah, I could feel him
filming.
while I was talking. I could feel him nudging my butt.
I have to come to the rescue.
I will definitely give him a pat afterwards. But they actually say any of the dogs in the path you're not supposed to feed, which a lot of people unfortunately do, and you're not really supposed to give them affections, which is really hard not to do. And I will admit we may have petted 1 or 2 dogs along the way, but the reason why is not because they're aggressive, although some can be. The main reason why is the dogs actually follow people to the villages, and sometimes they can go up into the high altitudes and they'll wait outside the huts where it's freezing cold for people to come out and feed them and give them the affection that they're craving. So it's actually quite sad. So yeah, they don't encourage that. This dog here obviously belongs to this house. It's got a collar and it's not going anywhere, so we can give it all the love it deserves. All right, Miranda, so these are our first momos.
It looks incredible.
We've got the veg and the meat fried momos. Enjoy. What do you think of the tea house?
It's so nice and cozy.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a nice view out here too. Look
We
at
even
that
have our
valley.
own bathroom. That's luxury.
Yeah, with a Western toilet.
Yes.
This is something that we've been really craving after the last
Don't get
few
used
days.
to it.
Oh no, yeah. This is
Won't have it for long.
probably one of the last Western toilets.
Alright, so it's a beautiful morning. The plan for today, first wake up really early, which we've done to get an early start to head to Namche Bazaar today.
We are doing the first of 5 major bridges today and countless smaller bridges. Shubi has just told us that there has been a change in the route, so they've actually updated the path. So it's no longer 13 odd kilometers, it's more 9 to 10 kilometers, but the same elevation gain, looking at just over 800 meters of elevation gain, getting up into Namche Bazaar. The forecast looks pretty good, so looks like we'll have a nice relaxing afternoon in the largest major village on the trail, Namche Bazaar. So these animals are a cross between the cows and the yaks. They're called jukse, so you'll see them a lot here, particularly in the lower elevations. Once we get higher, they generally just use the yaks because they're much thicker in their coats, but pretty hard-working, sturdy animals.
leaving Phakding, we reach the entrance of the national park and officially step into a protected landscape. Sagamartha National Park was established in 1976 and later named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, covering 1,148 square kilometers of glaciers, deep valleys, rare wildlife, and centuries-old Sherpa settlements beneath Mount Everest.
We're about to enter into Sagamartha National Park. We're just getting our tickets now. Our guide Shubi is over there at the ticket booth getting those. Sagamartha is actually the Nepalese name for Everest. So, interesting fact, George Everest, who the mountain was named after, never actually saw the mountain. Namche Bazaar right there. So it's bridge number 3 of 5 today. Look at all the meltwater coming down. So this is from the snow that's fallen in the last week or so when we had the massive floods here in Nepal. Due to the warmth of the last few days, it's just all melting off now and it's pretty torrential down there. You can see all that milky sort of color, which is the glacial flour. Basically the stones up in the mountains are being ground up by the glacial ice. So the normal trail goes down there, but if you have a look up there, this is the reroute. Last June, a huge part of one of the glaciers broke off up near Tame, and it caused a lot of flooding and obviously landslides through here. So we're going to do a big steep detour now. So you can see our last swing bridge for the day up there, and below it, something I wasn't expecting up here on the Everest Base Camp trek, is a bungee bridge. Alright, I've taken my cap off because we've been warned in advance about the breeze on this final bridge that we're doing today. This is the highest swing bridge. You can already see the flags flapping. Let's see what force we're getting. Oh, there it is. It's actually quite refreshing. It's nice, right? I actually thought it was going to be windier than this. This is like a refreshing breeze. This isn't hectic. I suppose it gets hectic sometimes. Okay, so our first glimpses there of Everest, or Sagamartha, which is the Nepalese word for the top of the world, is the highest mountain in the world, 8,848 meters high. We're very lucky to get glimpses of it today. Shubi was actually saying most days you come up here and it's just covered in cloud or darkness, so look at it right there, gleaming in the sunlight. It doesn't look too high, but I'm sure once we get directly underneath it, it's going to look really, really high. We are arriving into the outskirts of Namche Bazaar. Feels like we've accomplished something, right? Quite a steep climb for the last few hours. It was interesting, we got to the checkpoint there and we were chatting to some Spanish guys and they were just saying that they've been waiting an hour for the checkpoint. So our guide Shubi has been lovely enough to say that he'll come back down, which is only 15 minutes in all fairness, it's like half an hour round trip. So why would you wait an hour in the sun? The question is what to do first. Have a shower, have a beer, have something to eat. The options are all there. So we're going to see the biggest village in the Everest range in this region, Namche Bazaar. Let's do it. Ready, Miranda?
Ready.
Let's go. Shubi is ready, aren't you, Shubi? It's interesting, we were saying earlier that it felt a lot like Europe down below, like the Alps, but here it really has a feel of the Andes. Maybe it's the stone walls everywhere and the terraces. Maybe it's the altitude as well. How was that?
We made it!
Woo.
Look at our view!
It is pretty spectacular. So showers,
Yes.
laundry, beer, relax.
Chocolate
Chocolate.
for me.
Chocolate.
We've got a beautiful morning in Namche today. We are starting our acclimatization hike up to the Everest View Hotel, which is 3,880 meters. So roughly give or take, we'll be experiencing 500 meters elevation gain today. Let's hope to see another glimpse of Everest.
Absolutely spectacular. We once again got an amazing view of Mount Everest itself. That's where we're heading eventually, not to the top, to the base camp. Also, I'm in this beautiful mountain here with this really, really interesting peak. I'm going to be getting some really good views of that over the next few days also. So we're at the Everest View Hotel. This is the view from our table here. We're going to have some tea in just a moment. I can't believe we're almost at 4,000 meters and I'm in a t-shirt. And it's actually quite warm too. It's crazy.
Double-check. That's one.
So we just come from this building up here known as Sagarmatha Next, which was built to showcase the initiative that was created in 1991, basically recognizing the amount of trash that was piling up due to the numbers of tourists that started increasing, visiting the region here in the Khumbu Valley. The tourism really started off in the 1950s after Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay's ascent of Everest and after the opening of tourism to Nepal. By the 1990s, they were receiving about 10,000 tourists per year here in the area. So they started noticing the rubbish was piling up, all the plastic that was piling up on the tracks, and they wanted to do something about it to make it clean. So that's when this initiative started. These days, that number is closer to 50,000 tourists and an equal amount of Sherpas and porters as well. So you've got almost about 100,000 people here coming in, piling up all the rubbish. So what they do is they collect the rubbish and they shred it down here into fine pieces of plastic. They can put it in bags, and then tourists can trek it out to Lukla on our return journey. Some of the parts that aren't recycled, like bottle cap lids, they actually, in this Sagamata next, they reuse them for artworks, which was really cool. So we saw all of these pieces of artworks, and they can sell those on to tourists. And they were saying that bottle caps is one of the big ones. So they make these little mini Everest statues that you can purchase, which use up about 35 bottle caps. It's just roughly what the average tourist uses in plastic water bottles here on these treks. We've actually gotten the next step, and we've got a special drink bottle here with a life straw, a filter in it, which will actually filtrate the water. So we haven't been buying plastic bottles, and we're going to continue using that for the rest of our trip.
So this is the airport runway for Namche Bazaar.
Weird to think, just over 30 years ago, Namche Bazaar was just a trading center for the local farmers. Be interesting to think what it would be like in the next 30 or 40 years, how things could change. It's crazy. Still very charming and beautiful though. The great little thing about Namche Bazaar is it is in fact a bazaar. So if you are looking for some extra things on your track and you'd forgotten some things, like someone may have forgotten some underpants, then you can stop here, and pretty much anything you need for specifically trekking and outdoor stuff, they have everything here. So we've just picked up a few things. We just have a little bit of a roam around Namche. It's a beautiful morning leaving Namche Bazaar today. We just witnessed part of the Durga ceremony, which is known as Durga Puja in India, and here it's known as Durga Dashain. It's a Hindu religious festival that goes for 15 days. We're right in the middle of that festival. It celebrates the rivalry between good and evil, and it's said to bring good luck, so each day they actually worship different gods. Today, it being the middle of the ceremony, they actually start a more controversial part of the ceremony that's been banned in many places in India, but in rural areas here in Nepal as well, they still practice the animal sacrifices, where they primarily sacrifice male animals, goats, but also buffalo, and they'll also sacrifice male chickens. It is controversial because obviously animal welfare and whatnot. They do, to the best of my knowledge, it in a humane way, and the meat actually gets distributed throughout the villages, so it's not like it goes to waste anyway. The Durga celebrations, it's kind of like a coming together of their family. You know, Hindu people throughout the world will come here and visit their family and spend time with their family, so it is a positive ceremony. So we've got a bit of a big day today. We're about to go downhill a little bit and then do a bit of a climb, but I'll pass you over to Miranda and she can say exactly what we're doing.
So today we are hiking to a place called Millingo, which is about 7 hours from here, 12 kilometers. We're starting off on a flat, which is lovely. Then we'll go down about 190 meters and then up a steep 620 meters to get to Tengboche. And then from there, we'll hike further to Millingo. So, should be fun.
Yeah, big hiking day. We're already at elevation, as you can hear, so we're puffing and panting. We'll be doing that climb after brunch, so hopefully we won't be too tired after that. Shubi was just saying down there, you can see all the clouds. So Lukla Airport is closed today. If you watched the start of our video, you'll probably notice that the closures can come pretty often down there. So it's something we've got to watch out for the end of our trip, especially now the fact that we've lost 2 days and we're kind of running behind schedule. Okay, so we have the stupa here that marks the 50th anniversary of the summit of Everest. So 1953 was the summit of Everest. This was erected up here in 2003, dedicated to Tenzing Norgay and the Sherpas of Nepal. Really, really good news. We now have Everest within view. The clouds have shifted, and once again, we are hiking towards Everest with it in our viewpoint in front of us. It's pretty spectacular. So we just saw a Himalayan griffin fly over above, and thanks to Merlin Bird ID app, I found out last night that the Himalayan griffin is actually the most common vulture attracted in the Tibetan sky burials, and that's pretty much how they dispose of the dead up in the Tibetan plateau on the other side of those mountains up there. It's a Buddhist tradition. I don't want to be too graphic, but basically they cut up the bodies and feed it to these vultures that just flew over.
So they have a taste for human flesh.
Oh yeah, he was looking at us like, who's going next? Where's my next meal coming from out of these hikers?
There's a lot of meals to choose from here, to be fair.
He'll wait his time. All right, cool. Well, let's not be those people, and let's head up to the mountains safely. Let's do it. So this is the trail zigzagging that we have to go up to Tengboche. You can see there. Yeah, I know. So that's our climb. Alright, I feel like we're in a massive conga line right now up to the trek. There's so many people, there's music playing and stuff. What we've noticed with a lot of places around the world now is they actually have caps in some of the most popular national parks and treks. Not sure if they're planning to do that. I know that they were saying that they're doing that with the climbing of Mount Everest, and I think a lot of that's got to do with safety as well. The interesting question, and we brought this up last year when we did the W trek in Patagonia, is with all these big popular multi-day treks around the world, they're becoming such an attraction for active adventurers like ourselves. It's having a big impact. I'm not sure what the solution is. I'm not sure if limiting numbers on these trails in the future might be a solution, maybe an extra fee that goes to the community to keep everyone happy, because everyone's expecting financial growth down here in these places. But it's just something that we kind of ponder. One of the good things about doing the 3 passes trek like we are is a lot of the tourists here are mainly going to base camp. So that's your 10 to 12 day journey to base camp and back, whereas our one bypasses that. So in the next couple of days we'll be getting off the main path. So Shubi was saying that this porter over here carrying the gas cylinder is carrying up to 80 kilograms. What's the limit?
No limit.
No limit.
No porter. They going to for the selling for the cylinder.
Jesus.
If they carry more or they find more money. So
We're struggling with 10 kgs. This is crazy. So we're just leaving the small little settlement of Pushitunga, 3,200 meters of elevation, and we're about to cross the Dingboche River, and then we'll start to make our ascent up to Tengboche. This is the big climb of the day, 620 meters of elevation going up. Oh, we've just had a little bit of brunch. Just an omelette to get some of that protein in. Kind of dreading this one. The sun's out too. That's the other thing, the sun is really strong at altitude, so we have to relayer our sunscreen. You'll see these hydro-powered prayer wheels here, so basically the stream runs underneath and spins the wheel. So the idea behind these is there's a prayer written on there, and the inscription can be read once the wheel is spun in a clockwise direction. The idea is that it will make its way out and reach the gods, much like the prayer flags that get carried out, the prayers get carried out on the wind. We made it.
yeah, Tengboche, this is for it.
So we've made it to Tengboche, 3,850 meters above sea level. You can see the monastery behind us here. Quite an accomplishment. We have only a little bit to go before we get to Millingo, where we are staying tonight. So another half an hour or so. How do you guys feel?
It's good.
Good? How was our timing?
It's super.
Yeah.
Super.
Smashed it.
Excellent. Shubi says we're doing well with the timing. It's all about that mantra, right? You gotta breathe in and count the steps.
Deep breath, slow and steady, and you'll get there eventually.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll take a very short break. I'm going to put on a jacket just to stay nice and warm because the wind is cold, even though we are quite warm. The other thing is, as well, is, you know, this tends to be a little bit of a pattern here in the mountains that by about lunchtime the clouds roll in and start to cover up the peaks. So that's part of the reason why we leave so early in the morning. This morning we left at about 7:30ish after breakfast, and right now it's about 1 o'clock. So we're aiming to get there at about 1:30, and we can spend the afternoon just relaxing and recovering and stretching. Tea. So I had to stop here and point out the Rivendell Lodge as a Lord of the Rings tour guide in New Zealand with Trails of Middle-earth. There's a little bit of a shout out there. So good luck. Good luck.
After a tough trek yesterday, we have an easier day today, heading to Dingboche, about 10 kilometers and around 500 meters elevation gain, but all quite gradual, and we have stunning weather for it today.
Let's do it. absolutely breathtaking. Amma Dublin up there, and it's one of the most iconic peaks of the Khumbu or Everest range there, 6,812 meters high. You can see it in all its glory right now. Absolutely stunning. This walk already has been phenomenal. What do you think? This is the most beautiful day so far?
This would be the most beautiful day so far. I think second would be Everest View Hotel.
Yeah.
But this one's the most stunning, just everywhere you look.
Shubi was saying the higher you go, the more mountains you see. So by that notion, I think each day leading up towards base camp is just going to be more and more beautiful. Hopefully, if we can do the Komala Pass, it's going to be absolutely stunning.
Amma Dublin is one of the most striking peaks in the Himalaya, rising to 6,812 meters and named for its long ridges that resemble a mother's arms protecting a child. Though smaller than Everest, it is revered for its beauty and technical climbing routes. It became a defining landmark of the first few days in the high Khumbu Valley.
So we'll just stop in the quaint little village of Chamoré, which is 4,000 meters above sea level. We've cracked it, and now we are continuing on to Dingboche, which we should arrive there in, how long do you think? 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours we should get there, about 3 kilometers to go.
Yaks have been domesticated in the Himalayas for over 4,000 years and remain essential to life at altitude where few animals can survive. They carry heavy loads, provide milk, butter, meat, and wool, and even their dry dung serves as a vital fuel for fires in these remote regions.
Is the man of the hour, Shubi. I told myself before we started this trip that I wasn't going to take too many photos and videos. One, because I like to keep things in my mind, but two, as well, I end up overwhelmed with the amount of footage I have. It's really, really hard not to. You know, you really want to capture everything. I think I'm going to actually make this into a multi-part video. because otherwise it's going to be way too long. But I think in doing that, you're going to get way more detail out of this. You're going to see everything in its entirety, which I think is the best way to do it. So I'm just going to go with it. If something's amazing, I'm capturing it. So the water we see on this side is coming from the Khumbu Glacier, which is where Everest Base Camp is located. We'll be going there in a few days. And the water running on the other side, the river over there, that's actually coming from Imja Lake, which is not too far from Chukung. The plan is to actually go to Chukung as long as the Komala Pass is open. We might be able to see the Imja Lake from Chukung Ri if we do that acclimatization hike, which would be tomorrow. So we've got to find out some information today. It's quite tense. We really want to do this pass. It's the most challenging pass of the trip, but at the same time, safety is the most important thing. And because of the amount of snow they received last week when the torrential floods happened here in Nepal, the pass has been closed, but we've had really, really warm weather the last few days. So hopefully that's cleared some of that snow and ice off the pass and made it safe again to trek over. So fingers crossed, we'll see. So we've arrived here in Dingboche, 4,270 meters above sea level. It took us about 3 hours and 45 minutes to get here, and that's with a 15-minute break and also some photo stops as well. So looking at about 3.5 hours hike that we took from Millingo today. It'd be nice to rest up this afternoon and take advantage of some of this sun and wind and maybe wash and dry some clothes. And our path for tomorrow, if we are doing it, if we're going up to Chukung, will be this way. And for the people doing the Everest Base Camp route, this is where we diverge from them. They actually go over the other side down through this valley here. So our trek is known as the Three Passes trek, and it goes over 3 major large passes. The largest one, as we mentioned before, the Komala Pass. We're not sure whether or not it's open at the moment, but it's the highest pass, and it goes right up over these hills right here. So fingers crossed, hopefully we can do it safely, of course, but it's a pretty exciting one if we can. Massive accomplishment.
Coming up in the second and final chapter of this adventure, we deviate from the standard Everest Base Camp trail and attempt the highest of the 3 passes, Kongmala, slowly inching closer to our goal. Struck by sudden illness at our highest altitude, the question remains, do we make it to base camp?
Famous Dalbot. Look at that.
Dalbot power 24 hour.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Join us in the second and final part of our trek to Everest Base Camp.
Hey guys, just a quick message. We really hope you enjoyed this video.
If there's anyone you think would enjoy our videos, please share and help us grow global travel stories. We thank you for your support.